Welcome to the Spelling Netcast for this week. Make sure that you have your scissors. Make sure that they're nice and round at the top. Make sure that you have your glue stick. Make sure there's glue in it. Make sure you have your pencil that is sharpened, ready to write. Your spelling bag to put your words in after you cut them out. Your spelling book, and of course, your spelling words. So let's start cutting our words out. All right, so it looks like we've got a couple different ones this week. Looks like we've got some roots and some prefixes. So this will be a little bit different because we'll be looking at some root words and some prefixes. And what are prefixes? Prefixes are groups of word letters that are put together that come at the beginning of a word, and that changes the meaning of a word. So when we look at these, well, it looks like we've got bene, mal, ante, and post. So that'll be interesting to see what some of these words mean, won't it? And I found out a couple things, and I think some of you have had some questions about some of these words, and you might think, oh, I didn't have a question about that, but you know what, you probably did. Or maybe you didn't, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm going to give you the answers to it anyway. So cut these out like this. I usually put 3 at a time, and then I cut them out, and then you need to start putting them around on the outside of your words, or your book, so that you can grab them as I tell you what word we're going to use. Please make sure that you are writing them down and cutting them out as we do this. That way you can look at the words, you can write them down, you can find them, all of that kind of stuff. All right? So let's make sure all our words, oops, I got a couple more that I got to split up. All right, beautiful. So let's get to it. Let's do a little gluing first, because I like to glue this up at the top. Just take a little stick of glue, just straight across the top there, and let's glue this to the top of the page. Okay, here we go. And beautiful. Nice. Latin roots. Bene, mal, and prefixes, ante and post. Now remember, I don't like to cut these out because I'm going to write some definitions of these up on the top. So please make sure you have a couple lines up at the top. Okay, so we're going to write bene, underline, mal, underline. That doesn't quite look like an M, does it? M-A-L. Ante, line, and that dash right there is important because that means that it is a prefix and that the root word comes after it. Okay? Post, oops, I moved that and I shouldn't have. Post, dash, okay? And that means that there's words that come after that. Now that I have that done, I can cut these out and I'm ready to go. Okay? And I will put these in my zip-top bag where I'm going to put all the rest of my words when I am finished. All right, so here we go. Let's start out. I think we're going to start out with bene. And let's pick out a word and let's see what you think of this word. If something is beneficial, then what is it? Bene, underline, beneficial. So if it's beneficial, then it's for your good. Exactly. So good, bene, means good or well. And so when we talk about beneficial, it actually means official is good will or makes good. Okay, fit, fic. I wonder if didn't we have one of those words before? It's probably back a couple, unless you didn't actually have that. But there was, if I look back into my Latin roots, FAC means to make. FAC or FIC means to make. So beneficial is to make good. So if it's beneficial, I'm making good for you. So the spelling we're doing is beneficial. So I'm making good for you. See how that works? Love it. Now comes a little bit different of a word, but it's similar because it has bene in the Latin root. So let's do benevolent. 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 That is the word. Okay? Vol, V-O-L, actually means will. Will. So this is goodwill. So benevolent literally means goodwill. So if you're being benevolent towards somebody, you are showing them goodwill. Nicely done. Hopefully you're doing that. All right, now comes the interesting one. All right, now here comes a couple interesting ones. Because, how can I say this? You know what? Let's just do mal. Let's do mal. Okay? So let's get to mal. Mal. Malfunction. What is a malfunction? It's when something does not work. So let's write that in. Malfunction. Function means like working, something like that, an activity natural to or intended for a person or thing, something that it's supposed to happen. So if my pencil is supposed to work. If it doesn't, then it does not function. Okay? The function of this pencil is to write. A malfunction is, mal actually means bad. A bad function. It doesn't work. It's a bad function. So that's what malfunction means. All right? So let's see, what other words? Oh, yeah. Let's look at this one right here. Malaria. Malaria. Malaria is a kind of a disease, I guess. Malaria has a fever. It's a parasite. If you get malaria, it's a parasite that actually gets into your bloodstream, that kind of stuff. But the interesting thing is, this is bad, but area actually means air. So it's actually bad air. When malaria was discovered, they actually thought you could catch it through the air. So it was bad air that was how you got that disease. And we found out later it's not the air. It came from other things. Okay? So, malaria. And so, all right. So that's good on that one. Let's do ante and post. These are our two prefixes. And this is interesting, all right? Because antebellum, I think you've heard that. There's actually a music group called Lady Antebellum. And then we've got postbellum. So let's write those down and find out what these two mean. Antebellum, ante, and then we got postbellum, post. So antebellum actually means what? Anybody have any idea? No? No? No idea. Kind of means the war. Okay? But you can't use that by itself. Bellum by itself does not work. So when we say antebellum, that means before the war. So lady antebellum is lady before the war. Isn't that interesting? So that is before. And postbellum means after the war. Exactly. After the war. So antebellum and postbellum. Now, here comes the interesting one. All right. This is one thing I'm going to teach you. Here we go. We got antemeridium and postmeridian. Now, you use this all the time. Does anybody know what this one is? Make sure you leave the space in there. Okay? Anybody yet? Anybody talking? I can't hear you. Can you say it a little bit louder? No? Antebellum meridian, post meridian. Ante means before. Meridian actually means in Latin midday. Before midday. And post meridian is after midday. We usually call that AM, PM. We start school at 9 o'clock before midday, and we leave school at 3:30 or whatever time we leave, PM or post meridian, after midday. And midday is usually 12 o'clock noon. So interesting stuff here. I think this is very interesting. What I want you to do is, I've actually got one word I want you to find out what the meaning is of that word. And that's a word called maladroit. Maladroit. Okay? M-A-L-A-D-R-O-I-T. And so I want you to find out what that means, and I want you to write it right here. Okay? If you can get that done, we'll discuss that in class. So now get all the rest of these words, say them, write them, underline them, and try to find out what some of these actually mean. Learn something from this. Learn something from this. Don't forget this, though. All right? Okay. Have a good day. See you later. Bye.